Well, good morning, everybody, or good afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Dr. Jack Singer, and I'm welcoming all of you insurance producers and financial advisors to this exclusive insurance WebEx webinar entitled Mental Toughness Steps to Break Through the Psychological Barriers Leading to More Success. Now, you probably heard me before and realized that we didn't have the slideshow running, so that this is like the makeup for that particular program to make sure that you do have the slideshow. So that's what we're doing today, and I want to make sure all of you are on board for that. In this webinar, I will teach you the exact same blueprint for success that I have taught to Olympic gold medal winners and world champion athletes for the past 37 years. You see, my complete history is that I have been a psychologist for the athletes around the world. I'm a sports psychologist, now doing all of my work with financial advisors and insurance producers, teaching you the exact same blueprint. So that's the background I come from. I didn't start working with financial advisors until 2008, a pivotal year when somebody suggested that everything I do for athletes would be completely appropriate for financial advisors because each one of you is a champion, but most of you have not unleashed the champion that resides within. So that's when my career pivoted away from athletes and to financial advisors and insurance producers to release the real champion that resides within you. Today's workshop focuses on mental toughness because this is a learned skill that will help you to overcome all adversity, disappointments, and feelings of giving up or feeling overwhelmed. This will help you to avoid all of those feelings, and that's the key to what I'm doing today, helping you avoid all of those feelings of difficulty, of being overwhelmed, of not being able to do it, just getting rid of all of those issues that you may have. Now, how do you know that this webinar is really for you? Consider the following. If you found that the demands of your career feel overwhelming at times, if you're stressed and anxious about prospecting and trying to develop new clients, if you get really discouraged when prospects turn you down, if you blame yourself for what you consider failures in your career, if you've debated whether you really want to continue to do this or whether you have what it takes to continue to work as a top producer, if you answered yes to any of these questions, then this webinar is perfect for you. In case you didn't download the worksheet for note-taking, I will send that to you in a separate email. All you have to do is email me at drjack@advisingtheadvisors.com, ask for the worksheet, and there's a worksheet that goes with this that I'll send you. Of course, you can review this over and over again, so the next time you can have the worksheet and that'll be fine. So here's an overview of what we're going to learn today. There's the HTTP, by the way, for the worksheet. You want to look at that, and you can get the worksheet immediately. And we're going to talk about how this all starts with your mindset. We're going to talk about what is mental toughness. You know, mental toughness, when you use it with athletes, really differentiates who will be successful from who will be okay but not as successful. And we can do the same thing in your career. I'm going to teach you 7 simple steps to ignite your mental toughness, and you can do this all in less than 5 minutes, believe it or not. This is one of the more powerful skills you'll ever learn. And in summary, I'll talk to you about the 3 R's for consistent success. And I'll also give you a bit of a commercial, just a little one, on how you can expand your ability to develop a true champion's mindset and catapult your career by taking the online course that I've developed, a 6-module course, completely comprehensive. It'll turn your career around, it'll actually turn your life around, and you get 12 continuing education credits for it. We'll talk about that later. That's really the only commercial that I'll do for you. This is mainly for you. So it all starts with your mindset. Here's a given. Sales success equals your sales talent plus your experience and your product knowledge minus internal distractions. Now, what do I mean by internal distractions? What I'm really talking about here is the conversations that you have with yourself. This self-talk sets you up for either success or failure. And you can see it as your thinking, your thoughts, your self-talk leads to certain actions on your part, which then lead to ultimate results, either positive or negative. So let me give you an example of that. Let's say that a prospective client made an appointment with you, and now the client calls up and cancels the appointment. That event does not cause you to feel anything. Events don't cause our emotions. What causes our emotions is the conversation we have in our head about the event. So if the conversation you have in your head is, I must have done something to turn him off, or I'm probably not a good enough salesman if he canceled, or I don't know how to close a deal. Those kinds of internal dialogues, those distractions will lead to negative emotions, anxiety, anger, irritation, frustration, giving up. On the other hand, if you take the same event, the client cancels, and you say this to yourself, you know, clients cancel all the time. They have a variety of reasons. They're very busy. They don't really know if they need my product. I can move on to the next client. If you do that, you don't develop all of these negative feelings about yourself. You don't beat yourself up. You don't give up on your career. You just move on because this goes with the territory. And it's always important, as you see in my last bullet point, to focus on the present instead of the past or future. If you're thinking about the past, like the disappointment you had yesterday, that's going to impact your feelings today. And if you're thinking about the future, like I have a certain quota I have to meet, and if I don't meet it, I'm in trouble, that's going to impact what you do today. Think about a metaphor with an athlete. Let's say a golfer. Many of you are golfers. Let's say you make an unfortunate shot. Your ball goes in the water, for example. If you're thinking about your ball going in the water for your next shot, there's a high probability you'll make the same mistake. And if you're too worried about what your ultimate score is going to be, which is the future, you will make a mistake. You need to be focused on the present with positive thinking. So the present is the next opportunity you have as an insurance producer. So what is mental toughness? Mental toughness, described briefly, is performing your best when it matters the most. It's the ability to bring your A game to all sales situations. Many of you find that you're very inconsistent at times, and it's hard to bring your A game to every situation. But this is important for you to remember, that you need to bring your A game all the time for you to be the champion that you really can be. And it's the ability to bounce back quickly from adversity. You know, everybody faces adversity. Every athlete has adversity. Every insurance producer has adversity. Every financial advisor has adversity. But how do you bounce back quickly? That's really the sign of being mentally tough. So there's a 7-step program I'll go over with you now briefly, and then I'll go through the steps in more detail. The first step is to recognize the negative triggering thought that is setting you off. There's something setting you off in terms of a negative triggering thought, and that's important for you to understand what that is. And it could be something that the prospect tells you. It could be a remark made by your manager that bothers you. It could be hearing from your secretary that a difficult client is on the phone. These are all potentially negative triggering thoughts. Once you know that what the triggering thought is, you need to stop that thought dead in its tracks. And here's how you do that. You get yourself a number 64 rubber band. That's the thick, fat rubber bands that come in the mail. So I'm looking to see if I have one handy. I really don't. But the ones that come in the mail are number 64 rubber bands. Oh, I do have one. And they are fat, thick rubber bands. They look like this. So this is the number 64 rubber band. And you simply put it on your wrist. And then as soon as you recognize that you've got a negative triggering thought going on in your mind, you snap that rubber band, snap it hard enough to get your attention. You may need to snap it more than once because these triggering thoughts are in there with habits. They've been there for years and they don't want to stop. So you need to stop it by snapping that rubber band hard enough that you'll feel it and it'll get your attention. Once you stop that thought dead in its tracks, you do step number 3, which is you take a series of deep, centering breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth, and I'll tell you more about that. That will calm you down after having gone through that process of the negative triggering thought. Once you've done that, it's time to move to the next step, which is step 4. You recite a personal performance statement, and I will be explaining what that is. You recite it to yourself. It's a reminder of how you perform and what you're supposed to be thinking. Step number 5 is visualizing a personal highlight reel. I'll explain that later, but briefly, it's a highlight reel as if there's a video going on in your mind of the most successful day you ever had on your job. So I want you to remember that, because most people are thinking about unsuccessful things and disappointments they've had. You need to think about the best day you ever had and visualize it in detail. Step 6 is reciting an identity statement, and that I'll explain to you later. That will help to zone you in as well. And finally, we're going to anchor the whole thing with another deep centering breath. So let's start now with step number 1. Recognize your negative trigger thoughts. Any toxic thought that you've had, you can change. So for example, let's say you had a thought that if a client is short with me or cancels an appointment, it must be because of something I did or didn't do. That is a toxic, self-defeating thought. Or because I failed with this client, I'm afraid I'll keep failing. These are examples of negative trigger thoughts. And in my book, by the way, which you would get free if you take the course or you schedule a mentoring session with me, the book is called The Financial Advisor's Ultimate Stress Mastery Guide. There are the 10 most common triggering thoughts that we have described in detail. But these are 2 that I've given you, very toxic, poisonous self-conversation thoughts. The first one, if the client cancels with me, it's something I've done. That's personalizing something, and when it may not have to do with you at all. The second thought, because I failed with this client, I'm going to keep failing. That's called overgeneralization. But there are 10 of these that we go through frequently that once you realize them, you can stop doing them. So step number 1 is recognize your negative trigger thoughts. Step 2, stopping those thoughts dead in their tracks. I told you about wearing the number 64 rubber band. Snap as many times as it takes to stop the thought, and at the same time tell yourself, stop these self-defeating, irrational thoughts right now. As I mentioned, this is important not just in your job. This is important in life, because it's these same self-conversations that lead to depression, anxiety, irritation, loss of patience. So what I'm teaching you now is not just going to help you develop the mindset of a champion at work, but in your life. Step 3, deep centering breaths. You breathe in through your nose to the count of 4 for 4 seconds. You hold it for 4 seconds, and then a big exhale through your mouth for 7 seconds. So breathe in through your nose, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. The purpose of that is to clean out your system and relax your body the same way that musicians and singers relax themselves with deep breaths in through their nose so that your stomach is expanding, and then out through your mouth so your stomach contracts. That's called diaphragmatic breathing, breathing through your diaphragm. Step 4, a performance statement. Here's what a performance statement is. What does it take to give you the best chance of success? Think about your favorite mentor you've ever had in your business, and what would that person tell you to do to successfully sell this client? So this is the process for performing your best. Here's an example of what an advisor, an insurance producer told me his performance statement is. When I'm in front of a prospective client, I listen carefully using my active empathic listening skills. By the way, those are things I also teach you in the course. And once I understand what keeps him up at night, what is his pain, I can then provide the solution. So that's a good example of collaborative selling, of listening carefully using active empathic listening skills, and therefore performing your best. Again, I can answer questions regarding these things in more detail. If you want to have a free consultation with me, let me just give you the phone number for that. It's 949 area code 481 5660. And you can call. If I'm not there, just leave a message. I'll get back with you. We'll have a free session where I can explain any of these things in more detail to you, because my goal is to make a significant difference in your life starting today. Step 5, visualize your personal highlight reel. Recall your greatest success in detail. Where was I? What was the climate like? Was it outdoors? Was it indoors? Was it in a seminar I was doing? Was it on the phone? Visualize then your next sales call as if you're wearing a helmet camera and you're seeing everything the same way you did when you had that success. And visualize every detail of the sales meeting, seeing success at every step. So what you've done is you've recalled your greatest success as if you've replayed a video in your mind. And now you're visualizing the next sales call with all of this success taking place again, as if there's a helmet camera showing every detail of what's happening, and you're being successful at every step. Step 6, speak your personal identity statement. What is an identity statement? Well, what strength do you currently have? Or if you don't have it, what strength would you like to have? For example, I'd like to be able to speak to prospects without being nervous would be one. Or I'd like to speak to prospective prospects without trying to oversell them and just trying to learn who they are and develop empathy. What objective do you want to accomplish? I want to develop trust in a client so that that person will trust me. So at the point at which I know that I have a product that will help them, they're not going to feel like they're being pushed into something, but we've already developed a genuine relationship. You put both parts of these together in your mind as if you already achieved this objective. So here's an example from another insurance producer. I am more motivated than my competition. Because I take a genuine interest in the lives of prospective clients, they trust me, and I'm extremely successful closing business with them. Keep in mind, you may not have gotten to this point yet, but this is where you'd like to be. So you're saying this as if you've already accomplished it. Let me give you a metaphor. An identity statement for an athlete, a football player, a quarterback might be, it doesn't matter when I hear footsteps because I know I will complete the pass to the receiver. I'm calm, cool, and collected. Even if that person has never felt that way before, that's the statement they're telling themselves to begin to condition their subconscious mind to do the right thing. And that's what you're doing. What strength do you currently have or would you like to have? You lead with that strength in your mind as if you've already developed it. Step 7, we anchor the process with another deep centering breath, the same way we did before. So you're taking a deep calming breath in the beginning and a deep calming breath at the end. Again, maybe this is too fast for you, but understand that you can call me with any questions. I will give you a free consultation if you call me at 949-481-5660. If I don't answer, just leave a message that you want an appointment and leave your number clearly and slowly, and I'll get back with you. Now, how do we tie all this together with the 3 R's for consistent success? Well, you have to recognize your toxic trigger thought patterns. So the first R is recognizing the habits that you've developed with negative self-defeating thoughts. The course goes into this in much more detail, and my book, certainly, the Financial Advisor's Ultimate Stress Mastery Guide, goes into this in much more detail as well. Refocus your self-talk by choosing to think differently. We have choices as to the way we're going to think. You can choose to think differently. You can focus on the facts, not the fears you have. Stop setting yourself up for failure by beating yourself up with negative, toxic thoughts, and create nutritious thinking habits like, I am optimistic that I will be successful. It doesn't matter what's happened in the past, I'm waiting for my next opportunity. These are examples of nutritious, healthy thinking patterns, and again, these are demonstrated in much more detail in the course and in the book. And the third R, re-energize yourself with these healthy conversations. This takes practice like everything does, but it really works. I can promise you that. This will make a huge difference in your life as well as in your career. Now, here's how you can quickly catapult your success. You can receive confidential mentoring from me at this number, 949-481-5660. 5660, and I told you we'll do a free initial consultation. You can provide clients and prospects with my unique client event. That's a client event that I do at the office or at a location of your choice for your clients and their guests. My program is called How to Live Much Longer Than Your Kids Hoped You Would. So this is a funny title, but a serious subject. I teach them the cutting-edge psychological tools for extending your life and making the life you have healthier and happier. Who wouldn't want to hear that? So that packs the house with your clients and, more importantly, with their guests, because who wouldn't want to learn this from a renowned psychologist? The typical remark of one of the guests to themselves is, your advisor paid a nationally known psychologist to travel across country to teach his clients how to live better and longer with cutting-edge psychological techniques. My advisor has never done anything like that. All we do for client events is have a wine tasting or a chicken dinner or a discussion of the future or economy. Maybe I need to rethink where I want to place my money. So that's something we can talk about in the free consultation. Of course, you can read my book, The Financial Advisor's Ultimate Stress Mastery Guide, which you can order from me or get free if you decide to use me for mentoring or for the course. You can take the 6-module course and earn 12 continuing education credits. It's called How to Quickly Develop and Maintain a Champion's Mindset, Actionable Skills for Financial Professionals. And here's what you can do with this 12 continuing education course. I will offer everybody who's listened to this Insurance WebEx program a major discount. By the way, you see the website you can go to for this course, www.developthemindsetofachampion.com. The bronze package, which is normally $797, is a savings of $200 for WebEx people only. The silver package is $1,097, and that includes free sessions with me, and that's a savings of $325 because you're Insurance WebEx people. And the gold package, which has 5 free sessions with me, is $23.97, a savings of $725. And remember, with all of these, you get 12 continuing education credits, which are critical. So there you have it. You can contact me at Dr. Jack at advisingtheadvisors.com. That's Dr. Jack, and no period there. You can call me at 949-481-5660 and get a free session. My goal is to help you to begin today to develop the mindset of a champion, to develop the mindset of a champion. And I thank you all for listening. And I'm looking forward to chatting with you. If you have any questions, just send me an email, drjack@advisingtheadvisors.com. And we'll look to have you listen to the next webinar that I'll produce that'll be just for you.